All right, everyone. We're getting it together. Getting it together. Let me turn this thing off real quick. All right, we're getting it together. Moderation close. All right, I think I'm live on YouTube, and I'm also live on my Facebook page at Jamil Salib Zamir. I thank everyone for tuning in today. We have so much to cover today, and I hope that my voice is loud enough. We have a lot to cover. Um, it's election season. We're coming down to the wire, and everyone's excited, and everyone's pointing fingers, and everyone's trying to get their campaign rolling. Um, of course, I'm running for the school board seat in Manning District 9, um, Clarendon County. I'm running for that board seat. And, I started my campaign. I'm on my soapbox for a minute. I started my campaign. I had intentions of raising a lot of money and, involving a lot of people. But I found that a lot of people weren't interested in politics. They're interested in the results from politics. So they don't want to get involved with the process of voting in the person that you want in or anything like that. They just want things to change. And that's that's not how things are going to work. It's not going to work that way. You have to really put your heart into a thing, put your vibratory frequency into a thing, and pray that God will allow your efforts to be successful. Uh, my subject for today is God over goals, because unfortunately people do put, and I'm trying to be careful with my words. Unfortunately, people do put a lot of faith, a lot of trust in candidates who are supposed to hold the position that they are running for, that they claim to be qualified for. And this was a very uh, uh, good way to do things before it got corrupted. But politics now is totally corrupt. Politics were intended to be corrupt because politics were built on the backs of uh, um, nefarious deeds. A lot of it was not from a God perspective, but God was added into it in order to grasp the people who were spiritual. So God was added into politics in order to grasp the people who really believe that God and politics were synonymous. They're not. God is over all things, by whatever name you call him, Allah, Jesus, Elohim, El Shaddai, whatever you want to call him. There's only one God. He doesn't clash with himself. But God has 100 names which are attributes to his capabilities. So some call him Allah, some call him the Prince of Peace, some call him the Beneficent, the Merciful, the Wise. It's just so many names, and I'm going to read those names off one day. So give me about an hour today, and I pray that God gives me the ability to say what I need to say in that amount of time. We're broadcasting live on Facebook, and we're also broadcasting live on YouTube, live for the first time on my phone. I'm not broadcasting on Instagram this time. Now let's get organized with what we have to talk about. Uh, the reason that I did not continue to solicit for funding from people is because I believe that Clarendon County, Sumter County, Somerton, I believe they did a great job at allowing the candidates, creating a platform that allowed the candidates to speak if they wanted to speak. I want to call out some names, and I pray I don't forget anyone, but the Sumter Daily Item gave us a platform. The Manning Times gave us a platform. The Rotary Club, Clarendon County Rotary Club, gave us a great platform. Mount Zero Baptist Church and the Stomp Meeting gave us a great platform. The NAACP offered a great platform where you could come and speak. Who else? Palmetto State Audit offered a great platform. that you could express your views. I felt, and also the voter registration building, the voter registration in Clarendon County offered a great platform where we were able to express our views to people that we normally wouldn't be able to do that. So when I weighed that against asking more people for money, I decided to stop asking for money and just get out and do the work. Get out and talk to the people. And because that's what I wanted to do. You don't want to obligate yourself to too many outside entities that may be asking you for a favor that is immoral or illegal at some time in your political career. Some people don't care about that. Some people are just do whatever because they are goal oriented. And when you are goal oriented, you don't necessarily care about the collateral damage involved with getting where you want to go. So becoming goal oriented and not God oriented creates a mindset that whatever you have to do to get where you need to be is what you're going to do. Whoever you got to step on, whoever you got to disrespect, whatever you got to do, that's what you're going to do. Now, a lot of our people who call themselves Christians or religious folk are goal oriented. And because they are goal oriented, they say things that they think will attract you to their program. And the best way to do that is to always promise you things, to always speak positivity, to always present things as if though the world is fine. And that is a lie. And that is contrary to God and contrary to God's law, because the entire Bible is designed to teach the good of a generation, the bad of a generation, what it takes for the bad to become good, what it takes for the good to remain good, and what are the consequences when the people decide that they're going to do whatever they want to do because they are goal oriented. So that's our subject for today. So I didn't want to get into getting money from people. I thank all of those who donated their time, their effort, and their finances. Everyone that donated to my campaign, they're listed on my ethics page. I thank all of you for the 20s, the 10s, the 5s, the 100s, the 200s. I thank all of you for that. All of that went into my campaign. But there comes a point where you must begin to present yourself to the people and let the people know what you're all about. So I want to address this, and then I'm going to move on into the subject matter. Give me about an hour. And this is talk. This is like reading a book. This ain't no 5-second excitement explosion. It ain't sports. It ain't gossip. This is real talk that you can utilize for your internal edification, your internal growth. I believe that it comes directly from the Creator. This is why I can't come on every day, every minute, every hour, because I'm not coming on by God's permission with my own personal opinions. I must be coming on with something that God has given me to say. So I have not forgotten about the subject matter or the commentary of offensive. This is actually a part of it. I'm going to be coming out of the book that I'm reading about offense that was given to me by Pastor Fulton, because she and I were talking about people and offense. So I'm reading that book. What's going on, Tyrone? What's going on, my brother? While I'm on that subject, Tyrone Baxter mentioned something in his last commentary about family, and I don't want to misquote it, about family not being family. That's a difficult thing for people to accept. It's very difficult. But it's one of the most important steps that we must take in our journey to freedom. And by freedom, I'm not talking about chains. I'm talking about mental and spiritual chains. It is what you must disconnect from the negative energy that influences you after God has given you a message. The negative energy comes in, and it don't come in like a devil. It comes in like, oh man, you don't drink no more? Oh man, you talking all this God talk, man. We don't even rock no more. What he said about cutting off was harsh, but it's in the Bible. Abraham wanted a son. Check this out real quick. I'm going off the path, but I got to say this in regards to what Tyrone said. I thank God for giving me the thought. Abraham wanted a son. His wife was barren. She couldn't have children. He and his wife agreed that they would take their concubine or their housemaid and impregnate her, and she would have a baby for Abraham. Abraham's wife agreed, then she disagreed. She wanted the lady out of the house. Abraham kicked the woman out of the house pregnant. This is in the Bible. I'm going to leave that part. Then God comes to Abraham and says, your wife is going to have a child. She laughed. And God was like, the angels came. I told you you're going to have a son. You're going to have a son. She had the son. In the process of that, Abraham was tested. God sent him the message, kill your son. I don't want to mess up the names of the people in this story. Kill your son. Sacrifice him to me. That is the message that Tyrone is talking about. You must be willing to sacrifice everything for God's purpose. Now, I'm not talking about going out and murdering your children, because this is like an allegory. Because as you know, as he went to sacrifice his son, there was a ram in the bush, and God said, don't kill your son, kill the ram. What he was saying is, I tested you. I searched your heart, and I found that if you had to kill your son for my sake, you would do it. Another story, then we're going to stop. Jesus is in the temple preaching. Someone says to Jesus, your mother and your brother are outside. And Jesus says, I don't have a mother and a brother. If they're not on the same time that I'm on, doing what I'm doing, I don't have blood. I don't have a mother and a brother. I'm an orphan. This is what happens when you start to do what God is calling many of us to do. On my side, I must read, I must study, I'm guided to that. But on the other side, like with Tyrone and many others, the greatness of their position is that their mind and their heart is the book. And God puts on them what to study, what to say, just like that. I don't have that gift. God sends me to where I need to study. It's a reason for that. I'm coming off of a generation of parents who lied and who didn't tell the pure truth about what was going on. I'm the first one out of that generation to say, we got to change this. I was mistreated by family, called crazy by family, not supported by family, talked about all of these things, lost my children, lost my ex-wife. I lost a lot for this. And now I'm losing my business because I can't get involved with filthy music. I can't get involved with producing designs on fabric that is demonic. And we're going to talk about the different fabrics very soon. I can't get involved with things that I know are going to change the vibratory frequency of what God is doing. I'm not going to go against God for anybody. Do you understand? So the message was powerful. So my message is literally going in line with that. And I'm coming out of a book by John Beaver, The Bait of Satan. Get this book. This is the book. I was talking to Pastor Fulton. She ran in the house, got me this book. As you can see, she has just highlighted the entire book. She read it in and out, and I'm reading it as well. But I'm going to come out of this book today. Still smells like my sister, her perfume. So I'm coming out of that book, but I want to read a few things. And this, we're 15 minutes in, we're doing fine. So give me about an hour and 10 minutes. In Timothy 3 and 7 of the King James Version of the Bible, it says something very interesting. It says that they are always learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. That's Timothy 3 and 7. Always learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Our people, black people, were brought to this country for a purpose. The purpose was to build the country for free so that these other people could enjoy the luxuries of what was built without the labor. Anything in life that you didn't put your heart into to manifest, they say a fool and his money soon part. You're going to part from it. Most people who win the lottery never succeed in business because that's new money. And they don't know how to manipulate new money. So they think I'll leave it in the bank. Wrong answer. Because yearly, the tax man is going to get a percentage off of what you won. And millionaires become broke in less than 3 or 4 years because $500,000 come off of $1 million, $420,000 off of $1 million. The tax man get it if you don't know how to diversify and put your money where it's working and it's not in the bank. Many of us think we buy a lot of real estate. Wrong answer. Because if you don't understand real estate and insurance and the condition that the house must be in, in a couple of years, you're going to lose. I'm coming to a point. Many of us think that we understand money, so we want to have a lot of money, a lot of knowledge. So the scripture says in Timothy 3 and 7, they are always learning, never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Always earning, never able to comprehend the purpose of earnings. So we want to talk about that today, and I got some real heavy stuff to talk to you about. Because what goals do, and this world encourages us to have goals. Goals create tunnel vision. Desire fuels the will. You often wonder why a drug dealer can be so successful. That's their goal. That's their desire. Tyrone talked about that as well. What he was willing to do to make the money until something came in his path and halted his goal of being a millionaire. I remember, and T, I hope this ain't out of line, but I remember when I used to hustle for T, for Tyrone, until I started doing my own thing. And I remember we pulled up to the house one day, and it was a line of cars, man. Line of cars, dudes dropping off money to Tyrone. And the whole time I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at these cars, and I'm like, yo, I'm going to do my own thing because I'm going to make this money. So finally, we got up to Tyrone. He probably won't even remember this. And I studied people. It was dark, but the lights were shining on him. He had rolls of money in both back pockets, knots. And when you hustling for somebody, they get a percentage, you get a percentage. And he said these words: I appreciate it, fellas. We on our way to making $1 million. I said to myself, shoot, and that ain't what I said. I said, you make your $1 million, I'm going to make mine. That was my goal. I ain't know nothing about the hustle. But another dude in the car with me, he taught me to hustle. Taught me the ins and outs of it. I'm going to stop right there with that. But that was goal oriented. And what happened in my process of hustling? God became more important than the goal. I am the only person in Manning, South Carolina at the time with a flip phone. a mobile flip phone. The only person with a big screen TV. You can ask one of my runners. I had a big screen TV. My children, they was living a life. Trampoline, cars, PlayStations in all the rooms, whatever. But God was tugging on me. And I started having visions and dreams of, there was these cops. They were the drug cops. They had taken a gray Blazer, a Jimmy, from a drug dealer, but they souped it up and tinted it out, and that was their car. Well, that car started coming past my street where I was living, and every time it came past, I saw it. An undercover cop was living right next door to me. Y'all know him. He was an informant. One night I had a dream where the cop busted in the door, put their foot on my neck. My children were crying, and I said, I got to give up on this goal. And as I came back to my senses of what God had intended for me to do, and all of this is in my book, of what God had intended for me to do, as I came back to my senses, everything that I accumulated from that dirty money, God took it. And I had to sit and watch it, because I was sacrificing my desires, my goals, for what I knew God wanted me to do. He didn't force me to do it. He just showed me what was coming, and it is coming, and it's here. And I chose that. I chose God over the goals. So I want to talk about that a little bit today, about the inflated or distorted intuition that people who create goals they are possessed with inflated and distorted intuition. Because whatever thought you are thinking will occupy most of your time, whether it's a good thought, God thought, whatever. Whatever thought you're thinking, however you see a person, we're going into the metaphysical now. We're going into the mind. Whatever thought you are thinking, you project that thought to your inner self. And you project it outside of yourself by what you say. So Pastor Fulton, who gave me this book, had a dream about me and my ex-wife. And in her dream, my ex-wife did this to my hand. And you know, my sisters look at me like they look at my father, because alcoholism took the best of him, and they look at him like that. And so they think, oh, this woman is she's beating up on me. And I kept trying to tell her, no. You saw half of it right. You saw the cut part, but you didn't see how the cut happened. She wouldn't believe it. I don't even think she believes it to this day, because she saw it in a vision. But sometimes we drum up our own inner thoughts by how we feel about a person or people. So God says, lean not onto thine own understanding. Don't. When you have a vision or a dream, you wait on God for the proper interpretation of the dream, or else you're going to run fast and you're going to destroy people who are good people based on what you dream, because of your inflated and your distorted intuition. This is what happens when we choose goals over God. My goal is to have a huge church. My goal is to be a great minister. So whatever I got to say, whatever I got to do, that's what I'm going to do. And that's what you have in a lot of your speakers today. Anything nice they can say to entice you and get a like or get a review or get invited to the church. Don't nobody invite me to the church to speak. They used to. I spoke just about at every major church in Clarendon County, and the first thing the minister tells me is tone it down. And if you talk more about Jesus, you will have a place with us. That's not what God told me to do. God told me to study, find the truth, and tell it in an intelligent way. That's what my name means. That was a spiritual name given to me by a woman over the course of 3 years. First Jamil, then Salib, and then Zamir. They all have a meaning. Let's go on. Now, God talks in the Bible about generational curses. I want to see if I can find that real quick. Generational curses. No, sins of the father. That's what I look for. Sins of the father, and in the Bible. And this is what I have to do. Some people don't have to do all of this, but I do. And I don't mind researching. I love researching. I really do. Because what is being done now, especially in the political realm, unfortunately, because politics was never meant for the educated people. Politics and political positions were for the common man to have a voice. And what has happened is the educated class have found a place where they can get paid to literally do whatever they want, without impunity, without reprimand. They just do it. And once they write it into law, there's nothing pretty much we can do about it. So you will hear out of the cocky mouths of a lot of politicians and people in positions of power, ain't nothing you can do about it. So in this political season, especially in Clarendon County, you see a group of people. You see 10 different faces, but they are one person, because their intentions are to take control of the political scene in Clarendon County, and when they make a decision, ain't nothing we can do about it. God over goals. They got a goal. Their goal is to retire on the state. 6-figure salaries. They have no emotional ties to the people, to the area, to the communities, to the problems of the community. They have no ties to it at all. I'm telling you what I know. I didn't say any names. I'm telling you the political atmosphere. White and black. Some Republicans and some Democrats and some independents and Green Party and Working Party and conservatives and liberals. And they got churches. But they believe their church is right, their color is right, their preachers are right. So they appoint people in positions of power. They appoint them. But the people they appoint are low-key loyal to their agenda. That's their goal. But that's not God's goal. I'm going to walk with God. But I'm telling you, the political scene must be busted up. If it's 10 Democrats over here, we got to vote in at least 3-4 other parties other than Democrat. If there are 10 Republicans over here, we got to vote in at least 5 other political parties other than Republicans, and in every area. Because a person with a goal can easily be manipulated and become demonic. And I've watched over the years, not how only the person who started out one way have now become a literal tyrant and don't believe that they're tyrannical. They say it's everybody else's fault. God over goals. I'm coming to a point. It's the same way in the home. When the father takes on too much power, and then the Bible says, do not provoke your children to wrath. Children have rights. But they have the right rights. And anytime you allow a child to get too many of their way, the child becomes tyrannical. And that's what you're seeing in our communities with these YNs. And by the way, I'm going to do a commentary on YNs and JITs and all of these gangs and the young folks and their mindset. I'm going to do a commentary on them, but it's not going to be what you think. Because I'm not going to condemn them because I know why they are the way they are. I'm going to tell you by God's permission why you are the way you are, and that is your way out. If you don't take it, that's on you. I've had people to send me messages when I talked about how I got off of being addicted to drugs, and I tell them the blueprint. But if you don't accept it, that's on you. Yes, we help young rappers, whether they're rapping clean or dirty. We help them get their paperwork straight. We help them copyright their music. We help them get what do you call it? Tax ID numbers, all of that. Because you must be permitted to try your way. But when your way doesn't work, you must try another way. Tyrone talks about that. That's what I'm talking about. The money was there. I had the heart to go get it. I don't believe nobody could hustle better than me. I still don't. I still don't, because I study it and I see where to put money and how to move it. So I said in my speech at the Rotary Club that I think our children should get into day trading, because they sit on their phones all day anyway. And if they were trading money, whether they were winning or losing, it's like playing a game, and they can learn to become very good day traders. And rather than sitting on the corner trying to sell drugs or buy switches for guns, they could be saying, yo, this Derma stock is bumping right now. Oh, word? What? Word? You made 2,000 already? Yo, let me invest. Boom, 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 boom. Get them excited about learning. Let's move on. We got a lot to talk about. We are 32 minutes in. We're doing good. In my family of 5, I don't know why God plucked me. He plucked me. He plucked my sister, Pastor Fulton. She's doing what she's supposed to be doing, and I don't interfere with that. But I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And my job, and God made it very clear, is to begin breaking generational curses. That's what I was looking for. Oh God, let me look. Sins will visit the children to the 3rd and 4th generations. Thank you all for being patient. Get used to me doing this, because I try to come factual, because what has happened is Facebook, YouTube, social media, they're taking down all of my videos. Very powerful videos that I put up for prosperity, hoping that later on, even after I'm dead, somebody would find it and be able to use it for growth, because this is the period that we're in. And what a lot of people haven't accepted yet is that the Bible is 75% prophecy, 25% allegory or metaphors or things that happened in the past. But the Bible has not happened yet. We are living it now. We're writing it now. The Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Pharisees, that's people. That's us now. Exodus 20:5. God declares that he visits the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the 3rd and the 4th generations of those who hate him. A lot of ministers and motivational speakers, pastors, are teaching that God does not hate. And I attack that subject with zeal, vigor, passion, because the scripture says that there are 7 things that God does hate. 7 things that he hates. In Exodus 20:5, it says the generational curses will go from the third to the fourth generation of those who hate God. When you set yourself on a personal goal, you set yourself up to begin to dislike the God who created you. Because God is going to constantly send someone to tap you on your shoulder when you're out of line. But if you don't listen, then your goals becomes your hell. That's what you see with T.D. Jakes, Puff Daddy, Eddie Long, and many others, Epstein. Their goals becomes their hell because they become possessed by their desires. And once you please your most filthy desire, what next? What you don't understand is money to rich people don't mean as much as it does to a poor man. My heart specialist told me, Johnny, money is nothing to make. Nothing. Because he's there. Now, from a street perspective, I can say the same thing. Tyrone could say it, many other hustlers, money's nothing to make. I could flip it in a heartbeat. I had someone who had $1,000 debt they had to pay in 2 days. I said, give me $100, I'll flip it. And I flipped it when I was hustling. And I sent them $1,500. Easy. But you could do the same thing with day trading. Legal. Let's move on. Generations, third and fourth generations. Now, I want to check how long, I'm coming to a point, is a generation. And this is how we're going to have to start teaching. How long is a generation? A family generation is about 20 to 30 years. So God is saying he's going to visit the sins of your great, 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 great grandfather and great, 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 great grandmother 20 to 30 years down the line, which means we inherit the residue of their sins. We can say, look, man, mama did it, I'ma do it. Daddy did it, I'ma do it. Or we can say, rejecting the goal, the curse ends here. I'm going to break the cycle. I'm going to be the first to go against the grain. But what does that mean? That means that nobody going to like you. People going to hate you. Jesus was hated because he had to go against the grain. Muhammad was hated. He had to go against the grain. All of the prophets and messengers of scripture had to go against the grain. So the people didn't understand going with a God. They always went with their goals. So the rich man comes to Jesus and says, look, I want to be like you. What does it take to be like you? And Jesus says, sell all your riches, give everything up, deny yourself, pick up your cross and follow me. The rich man could not do that. Then Jesus says to those who are listening and disciples, verily I say unto you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Not talking about people with money, because some people with money are goal-oriented, but they're balanced and they're God-oriented. So they understand that the two are juxtaposed and they must follow each other in order for things to stay or at a righteous perspective. So how do we break generational curses? We choose God over goals. See, there are families out there with last names that are associated with violence, killing, murder, drugs, alcoholics, and they're proud of it. That last name is I had a brother to tell me, he said, Jamil, I'm tired of my family being associated with fighting and beating up on people. I knew his sister. I knew his aunts. I dated one of them. And they were one of the most feared girls in Clarendon County. Odell and Annydale Calvin. People saw them like they were the worst. But I knew them personally. They were the nicest people. If I say to God rest their soul, they were twins and they died on the same day. God rest their souls. I was dating Annydale. I was dating Odell. Annydale was with Ken Law, God rest his soul. But man, I could ask Annie Dare, I could ask Odell's sister to cook me something, she would cook it. If I came home and they were getting ready to go somewhere and I say, I don't want you going nowhere tonight, she'd get out the car and come in the house. But the person that they presented in the street were rough people. But their nephew said to me, I want to break the cycle of our name. And one night I had him in the car with me, and he asked me to take him to see his girlfriend, and I took him. She was at work. He called her outside and he slapped her in the face. I got him in the car, took him down to the ballpark, pulled him out of the car. Big dude could whip my behind. Jesse Calvin. And I said, man, listen, what are you doing? We went into the spill, but he and that same young lady that he slapped in the face that he regretted that he did, they're still married to this day, and they have some wonderful children. But he was determined to break the curse. God over goals. You must be prepared to break the generational cycle. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this. We're 41 minutes in, doing great. There are people in positions of power who enjoy the bloodshed that they're seeing in the streets. They enjoy that. Believe it or not, they do. That's why they never come to stop the violence rallies. You never hear them speaking about the violence in the community. Do you know why they enjoy it? Because the Bible says, suffer the little children to come unto me. Those are the ones who will inherit the kingdom of heaven. Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us that the best followers of God are still in the street. So I humble myself to street folks. I see their warrior spirit. But these people who are in positions of power also see it. And just like Herod went after Jesus to kill him because that was a baby who was going to grow up to break up his system, they already know, based on secret society knowledge, that the next Messiah is coming from the street. He's a warrior. He understands war. He understands the process of fighting, killing, and mercy. They don't want that. So they are happy that you all are out there killing each other because now they don't have to do it. Do you understand what I'm telling you? So the kings send out summoners into the city to find all of the little boy babies. Say, kill all boy babies. And do what? Spare the females. Who is attacking their own men in 2024 but the black woman? Spare the females. What is this big hoopla about in the political scene? Kamala Harris, the female. Who would they raise $1 million for? The female. See, we are already trained by the system to destroy our men. Then the men say, I'm not going to put up with it. And they go get another woman, another woman, another woman. Now you are upset, female black woman, and you laying with another black woman. But today's black man is not going to put up with your foolishness. I don't care what degrees you got. I don't care how much money you got. We are the head. So the politicians understand that. And most of them remain wealthy. I'm talking your preachers and the preachers don't want to give up their spot. So I said earlier that they stopped me from talking in the local churches because people respond to my voice when God is speaking through me. And they work diligently to put sly things out there here in that crazy religion. Islam, as taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, is not crazy. This is not Arab Islam. This is not that. This is not over there Islam. This is Black America Islam, specifically designed for us here. Move on. They never speak about the crime. Will never fight against it. They want the young dead. That's why you can, put the guns in their hands at 18, 15, 16. They don't care. They're trying to hold on to their goal, which is to control society as much as they can. Black and white are doing it. But for every person in their highest position making the most money, God has already prepared one of these young boys on the street to take your position. And if he can't take it, he'll kill you. He will kill you. In the streets are the chosen people. I got this written down. It's just horrible writing. My handwriting's so bad I don't have any feeling. That those in positions are afraid is going to take their spot. So they choose the gold over God. So they don't want to raise up any person with their own mindset. Listen to what I'm saying. So on a macro level, any of you have studied macro and microeconomics? I wanted to be an economics major in college as well, but I just couldn't get the math the way they taught it. But I did get into the macroeconomics and did great in the classes. On the macro level, on the micro level, the smaller level, in communities, in Clarendon County, they handpick who they want for positions because their mindsets are the same. You see them, you always see a woman with them. You always see a woman with them, always. The woman is like a mother to these young boys who are emasculated. Their energy is feminine. That's who they want in the positions of power. Because they can be controlled. Because they control our women. They control them. So I want to get into this a little bit. The generations. We're doing great. 47 minutes. I said hour and 20 minutes. The generations. Very few people take on the auspicious. Is auspicious the right word? I just be saying stuff. It comes to my mind and I say it. And later on I gotta look it up and be like, is that a word? I think it is a word. Anyway, we take on these big jobs, of trying. Lord have mercy. I'll take on these big jobs of trying to control society. And it is a very difficult job. But in Clarendon County now you have this group. There is a white group, Republican group, who feel that they got the power to choose everything, and there's a Democratic group. They both are dangerous because they're moving based on their desires. I'm coming to a close. I got a few things I want to play. Then I got to read this. And I think I want to go ahead and read this now. I'm in this book. And I encourage you to get this book from John Beaver, The Bait of Satan, Living Free from the Deadly Trap of Offense. So I want to read this real quick. It's entitled, Where the Fathers? Where the Fathers? I used to read to children too, so I'm pretty good at doing that. Where the Fathers? I've seen this cry in countless men and women in the body of Christ. Most of them are young and with a strong call of God on their lives. That's you, your young people in the street. Strong call of God on your life. But the key was to get the fathers out of the home. The key was to get the father spirit out of the men. So rather than encourage you to do better, rather than open up the pathway, most of these preachers and politicians want to control you. They cry out for a father, a man to disciple, love, support, and encourage them. This is why God says he would turn the hearts of the fathers, the leaders, to the children, the people, and the hearts of the children to the fathers. Lest I come and strike the earth with a curse. That's in Malachi 4:6. It didn't work. So now the earth is stricken with a curse. We were stricken with a curse as freed black men coming from a Akibu land of the East Africa. We were stricken with slavery and a design. And that's the last thing I'm going to play for you because I want it to stay in your mind. I'm going to tell you it, then I'm going to play it for you, how they control us. Our nation lost its fathers, dads, leaders, or ministers in the 1940s and 50s. And today our condition is getting worse. Not unlike Saul. Now, if you don't know Saul, Saul was a king in the Bible. David, his brothers threw him in the well and sold him off. And then David was in prison. And then David prophesied to two of the prisoners. And he told one of them, when you get free, you tell the king, what I did, blah, blah, blah. And the man didn't remember what David had done until 2 years later. And then he told the king, because the king was having all these dreams. And the king summoned David, and David interpreted the dream that there would be a certain amount of years of famine, a certain amount of years of growth. They were entering the famining years where there would be no food, no water, and they should store the food in the water. So Saul put David in charge of that. Check out what I'm saying. He put David in charge of that. David got him through that rough time by God's permission because he was a child of God. David wanted Saul to be his new father because David was taken away from his father. David looked at Saul as a father. David would do anything for Saul and the people. David would go out to war and kill thousands for Saul. David and Saul are coming back from a battle and the people are cheering. Saul killed 1,000 people. David killed 10,000 people. What do you think happened with Saul? Saul got envious and jealous of David. And it went so deep into Saul that he could no longer see the good of David. He wanted David dead. All David wanted was for Saul to be his father. So David had to run from Saul. Saul got 3,000 men looking for David. And when Saul thought that somebody was hiding David, Saul would kill a whole community. Saul would kill 8,500 people in a heartbeat. That's in the Bible. David still loved Saul. That's the love of a child for their father. No matter if he was a drunk, a murderer, a killer, we need black men. Whether you are an uncle, a friend, a mentor, we need you to raise these young boys, these YNs, just slap them in their mouth. Or maybe if you're strong enough, go out and tell them we'll do 10 paces, turn around and shoot. To let them know we're going to save your life because these generational curses stop here. So Jesus says in order to gain life, you must lose it. In order to lose life, and if you lose life, you'll gain it. Nobody wants to lose life. So they go on their mission and their goal. And they're willing to take other people's lives. Listen to what I'm saying. This might go on a little longer than I thought, but that's okay because God willing, people will begin to listen. There are political figures out there who only care about their family, their people, their goals. And everything they do, no matter who they got to step on, they'll step on you. They will destroy you. They will lie. They will cheat. They will steal. And they are doing it. They will hide the theft. They will hide the lie. But you can't hide the lie from God. You can hide the lie to reach your goal, but not from God. Let me finish this. So the fathers were deliberately taken away, just as the fathers were deliberately taken out of the homes of young black boys. Either they're on the road, they're in the military, they're a bum, they're a drug dealer, they're in prison, they're chasing women, but they're not, or they're too ignorant to catch up with the mind of their child. Children are born wise, but weak to control their desires to achieve their goals. Some people have goals to kill. Young folks can't wait to, I got 10 bodies. That's their goal. And you can't stop it. God can, but you can't. I can't. And you think that because you stay in your house with your door closed, don't bother nobody, because that's our scapegoat. That's how the punks move. That's how the cowards move. I mind my own business. Everything is my business. If it affects me in the long run, it's my business. I may respond to it, I may not. I may find out about it and pray to God about it, but it's my business. All right. And today our condition is getting worse. Not unlike Saul, many leaders in our homes, corporations, and churches are more concerned with their goals than with their offspring. See, I had a sewing club that I was teaching young boys and girls to sew. The parents would bring their children and drop them off and leave. They were more concerned about their desire. Oh, we got to babysit it for at least 3 hours. Same thing when we started the martial arts class. We needed them to stay. We needed the mothers to bring food and other things for the children, participate, and we needed the fathers to be there to help train. They drop them off, they leave. Same thing with the after school program. Same thing with the program that we had at the Resource Center in Sumter. We had a program every Sunday night, every Friday night. We had a program. We were busy. So most of the stuff that's being done now, we did it already. I know the outcome. I know the end of the story before it's told. Because of this attitude, these leaders view God's people as resources. See, most of these people who have got their signs up in the community now, they see us as resources. They're never there during the year. They're never asking what they can do. They're never knocking on doors. They're never giving us a cookout or a party. But when they see us as a resource to get their goal, and they're willing to step on us for it, I'm telling you that the political system is wicked. They chose goals. And we need to get some godly people in the wickedness to at least try to balance it out. Because it's not going to get any better. Saul did not stop trying to kill David. And David had multiple chances to murder Saul, but he didn't. And David had people on his team who said, "I'll kill that sucker right now, David. Just give me the word." David couldn't do it. David loved Saul and desired a man in his life so bad that he could not complete his mission that God had assigned him for, because he believed that Saul had a purpose, and he did. And so God had to raise up other people to kill Saul and his sons. And I've said before to you crooked politicians who put your children in positions of power, this ain't me talking. All you got to do is study history. If the people ever find out what you're doing and find out that you fooled them and used them as resources, they're going to kill you one way or another. It's a warning. Because of the attitude, these leaders view God's people as resources to serve their vision instead of seeing the vision as the vehicle to serve the people. The success of the vision justifies the cost of wounded lives and shattered people. Justice, mercy, integrity, and love are compromised for success. Decisions are based on money, numbers, and results. So when I was, that's an end quote. That was a quote at the beginning, end quote from John Beaver, The Bait of Satan. So when I was talking in my time to speak at the Rotary Club's, I don't know exactly what you would call it, Meet the Candidates, I said, I want the children to get excited about learning. Let the bureaucrats be concerned about the paperwork. I know that didn't go over well with a lot of you. But what I was saying is there must be a balance of people who care about people and people who care about numbers. Because if you only got people who care about numbers, that's not a godly program. And it is not. The school board is not a godly program. I don't care, because you got preachers on the school board who knew that money was being misallocated. People were taking money that they weren't supposed to have, and the preachers didn't say a word. Preachers now, who are always talking about God, 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 right in the mix. Either too cowardly to say anything, or they're on board with the BS. Both are bad. Silence is just as bad as the person who commits the crime. You hear me? So there are at least 2 preachers on the school board who allowed it to go on. And if it were not for Fawn calling for the investigation, it would have continued to go on. This is a fact. This ain't me talking. This is facts talking. This is God talking. We an hour and 1 minute in. We got 19 more minutes. We're doing great, because I think that I'm finished with what I had to say. So what I want to do now, I'm going to give you a summary of this. I'm going to play it, then we're going to close. And I thank you all so much. And listen, we're breaking generational curses. There are no good days for people like me, Tyrone, and others who are really going into the paint. They're great days. They're not good because everybody is after us, but they're great because God is with us. So I talked to my son yesterday. How you doing, old man? I said, I ain't claiming no old man. I ain't old. I said, my body is old, but I ain't claiming it. So I barely can walk right now. I just posted up some pictures of me teaching the young folks how to build houses, renovate houses, because I used to tear down houses and all that, wire houses, plumbing, all of that. We did all of that. And I was grateful for the time. I really did pay my dues, man. I'm not just somebody talking. I'm not a fool or a buffoon. Really, God has trained me well. And I look forward to being trained more. I need it. I needed a father because mine wasn't there. And I turned to all kind of people saying, will you be my father? Will you be my father? And they all mistreated me. Then I started turning to women, wanting them to be my mother and my father and my girl. So you kind of want a wife, mother, girl. You know, somebody you can cry on their shoulder, somebody that'll encourage you, somebody you can have sex with. Because the men were gone. Well, the men are coming back. And not even the men are accustomed to meeting a real man of God. I don't care how buff you are, what set you claim. That's external fighting. And you done messed up your mind to deal with that. But that's goal-oriented. All right, let me set this scene and then we're going to close. I did a commentary that they took down off of YouTube entitled The Nigger and the Flea. In that commentary, the N-word and the flea, I explained how you can train a person for generations. And they did an experiment in a lab where they took a bunch of fleas jumping high and they put a cup over the fleas for a certain amount of time. The fleas kept jumping, but because they were hitting that top of that cup, that's as far as they would jump. So though you may think a flea doesn't have a mind, they have instinct. So when they moved the cup, the fleas remained in the shape of the cup. They would only jump as far as they could jump that they could instinctively remember. That went on for generations. Remember we talked about the generational curses? So the flea wouldn't even be a flea. The flea was just hopping in one spot for generations. Then they took that one down. Then I did another commentary, the N-word and the frog. And in the N-word, they took that one down too. And in the N-word and the frog, I think I might have changed one of them before they took it down. I'm not sure. But in the N-word and the frog, they took a frog and the frog adapts to situations. This is scientific fact. I deal with science. The frog adapts to situation. So they put the frog, they boiled some water, and they threw the frog in the water. The frog jumped out immediately. But because the frog is stubborn and the frog likes to adapt to their environment, they put the cold water on the stove, put the frog in the cold water. The frog sat there. They gradually turned up the temperature of the water until the frog sat there and acclimated itself to the temperature to the point where it was cooked. That's black boys. We just adapt to situations. Goal oriented. That's the school system. That is politics, the Senate, the House, all of it. They adapt to the situation and they become apathetic. So now it doesn't matter. It's all about numbers and what does it say? It's all about money, numbers, and results. It's not about people. When a person stays in a position too long, it becomes about numbers. So even on the internet now, you see with the school, they're always posting up numbers. Never about people. And it's always small numbers. So we learn to adapt, and the YNs, the young folks, they are adapting to the violence. It's nothing to them. It's something to us. Nothing to them. God over goals. So this clip I'm going to play for you is a white lady. She's a scientist. I think she's a mathematician. She's speaking about, and after this I'm going to close. She's speaking about generational curses, and it's only like a minute and 20 seconds. They did an experiment with rats coming towards a tree. When the rats came towards the tree, they would shock the rats, but the rats came towards the tree because of the smell. It was a fruit, so they would send a simple shock to the rats, the first generation of rats, to when the first generations of rats began to associate the smell of the tree with being shocked, so they wouldn't come anywhere near the tree. That generation impregnated and had babies and babies and babies. For 7 generations, none of the rats would come towards the tree, because in their very genetics, the shock stayed in their system for 7 generations. And how long is a generation? So the pain, the suffering of slavery did not go away. We were not tested psychologically. And you know what the Democratic Party did, some of our black people? They jumped on the bandwagon and began to treat us like slaves. They don't regard us as human. They just say, vote straight ticket. And they know we'll do it because we're in shock. Stockholm syndrome. Not because we like the candidate or we see something they did of value. Because we think if we don't vote this way, something terrible is going to happen. Someone has to go through the pain, the suffering of the shock. And Jesus proved that when he picked up his cross of confusion and went through the shock. And now you cowardly MFs sit up there and say, Jesus died for my sins. I ain't got to, he paid it all. You piece of garbage. I can just do what I want, follow my goals and do what I want and be what I want, and I can offend God because Jesus died for it all. And the preachers back it up. You kill 100 people and come in the church laid out and they'll talk about you like you a saint. Man, we got a job to do. It's very few of us, but we're backed by God. We're the Davids. And we only need 5 smooth stones to whip this world's behind. In the name of God. Those are the 5 smooth stones that David used to slay Goliath. All of the people saw Goliath and they got afraid, but Jesus saw but David saw God over goals. And he slew Goliath. Just like that. Now let me play this and we're going to close. I thank you all for tuning in. I pray it came out well. I pray it was something of value, that you learned something. I pray that God will give us the spirit and courage of faith, that we will stop blindly following people because of who they are. They ain't nobody. They breathe like we breathe. Yes, they have power. Yes, they can destroy us, but God got power. Somebody has got to test God and see if he is who he say he is. Jesus had to do it. Had to do it. He had to go through with the crucifixion. We did Jesus. Remember, Jesus prayed on the mount that God would remove the bitter cup. Jesus did not want to die for you no good so-and-sos. But it was a part of the process. And the preacher teaches it like, yeah, Jesus died. And that's why the church is in the shape it's in. Because some of them know better. All of them don't know better. But a lot of them do. Now, let me play this. Let me see if I can get it up here. I hope. Yeah. I want to play this for you. And she's explaining this, and then we'll be done.
Conducted where these mice kept eating it.
Let me take it back. Let me take it back. It was a cherry blossom tree. Let's listen.
And that's what I wrote Chemical Mark about. There was a study conducted where these mice kept eating at this cherry blossom tree, and the scientists put shock therapy under their feet, and every time they went close to the cherry blossoms and tried to ruin it, they would shock their feet. And after about 13 days, they noticed that the mice didn't go as close as not where they could see the tree. They didn't associate the pain with the tree. They had associated the scent. So they'd stay as far away from the smell of the tree. So then they took those 12 mice, got them to mate with 12 female mice that weren't exposed to the shock therapy. They got them to have kids that were only exposed to 50% of the DNA that was traumatized. And they noticed that 100% of the offsprings did not go as close as they could smell the scent because they had associated pain they had never felt with that smell. It took 7 offsprings being diluted every time by 50% for one of them to break the trauma. Wow. So those intrusive thoughts, all those things, took 7. And I did the math, okay? Because of course, I'm that person. 13 days of a mouse's lifespan is under 2 years for a human.
Crazy.
So we have to be gracious with why something's telling us no, why these intrusive thoughts are happening. And sometimes, it's insecurity, and sometimes someone's trying to warn you, you know?
Wow, we're going to get so much amazing art from you.
And there you go. That's some heavy stuff, man. Like I told you all before, white folks are studying, we're playing. We trying to do the latest line dance, trying to catwalk our four-wheelers, trying to find a better way to smoke marijuana, trying to dance and party, trying to get a degree, trying to be a preacher, trying to be a political figure, trying to be things that are no value to God's kingdom at this point in time. Because none of this world will enter the new world. None of it. So you get accustomed to this. The scripture says be in it, but not of it. I'm closing. I want to show you something real quick that I don't share with people a lot because I know you can't handle it. But I've studied this stuff. This is Kabbalah. This is the spiritual mapping of the human body. And I'm going to stop there. But once you get down to the sexual region, that's called Malkuth. That's where everything starts to fall apart. The sexual region, the sexual heart, and the sexual brain. There are 3 brains. I did a commentary entitled 3 Brains. A heavy commentary. We're going to talk about this one day. But once you begin to fall in love with your sexual self, your motor instinctual sexual brain, the same heaven that you would advance to going up, you begin to go down into hell. And the things in hell appear the same as the things in heaven. But the further you go down in hell, the more sins you commit, the more laws you are under. And I always tell you young folks that you all aren't strong enough to come out of hell because you have to fix too many things. So stop doing devilishment and start your rise. I'm going to teach you about this. This right here is what the Masons know, Shriners know, the Jews know, the wise know. I'm going to teach you the three pyramids in the body, the brain, the heart, the sexual. There are three brains in the body. They all must work together. In the Bible, they call them the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. We're going to talk about these things, God willing, one day, but not right now. But I studied this stuff for 9 years. I studied sexual magic for 9 years. I studied it. I studied things that, wow. I don't know why I was studying it, but God said to do it, so I did it. An hour and 15 minutes in, I thank you so much. But this, that heaven that you're looking for, Kether, the first logos, the Father, it's right in your head. This right here is the kingdom of heaven. Below that, your desires or your goals is the kingdom of hell. It's all in us. I ain't never showed nobody that. I have over 40 books that you will not find in anywhere. Anywhere. One of those books cost $1,200. It was a gift. I was given the full set of Masonic books. The full set. I was given the crown, everything, from my uncle, who saw in me something great. And he's not my blood uncle, but I call him uncle. He passed away. He wanted me to have it. I got it. I'll share it. Thank you all for tuning in. This is Jamil Salib Zamir. I'm going to continue reading this book, and once I'm finished, God willing, I will do the commentary on offensive, because this book is talking about offense. I think I covered everything. Thank you all for tuning in. This is Jamil Salib Zamir, Manning, South Carolina. I don't even know how to